Welcome. So instead of a homestead or travel video, I thought that I would put out a little information on this new personal practice 2.0. So, the backstory, go ahead and get settled in here. So we're going to go back to, we started the nursery, mom died, sad, yoga teacher training, posted my first classes on YouTube with zero intention that anyone would see them, watch them, care about them. And then that started to grow, and I got very excited about that, and I started putting out more content and getting more excited about it. And I have been excited the whole way along, but something started to happen that brought up my own problems, right? Like, that's how it always is, right? So we're really broadcasting myself in sort of a personal way. I really want to make an effort to be transparent and be real in a world full of people trying to be perfect. So here we go. So I started noticing that I was only getting male followers, and I started getting a lot of interesting comments, and then it started to so because of all the yoga and the meditation, I have quite a bit of self-awareness. So I'm like, wow, this is really interesting thoughts coming up, really interesting old patterns coming up from my exotic dancer days. So I'm like, oh, all of a sudden I'm being treated sort of how I was being treated then, even though that wasn't really my intention. And then that started to affect kind of how I was showing up, or like maybe what I was wearing. And then I started to feel lost about it all. I reached out to my yoga teacher training, and nothing. I didn't get any response. I just so I started feeling rather really alone in this journey. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll just be cute. I feel like I was a little down on just the practice in general, because it's this isn't really I really wanted to help people, and then I was just having a really hard time being authentic after I noticed that the that I was being watched for being pretty. So it's been a challenge ever since then, and I just I knew that the answer would come if I kind of kept picking at it, or that I would find a way to balance everything. So I had started Patreon, and then I kind of made it worse, right? Because I was I had the memberships for the extra classes and the meditation, and then I had the artistic tier where I did a personal practice, which is sexy. And anyway, so everybody that came to Patreon got the artistic tier. Very few, which kind of has just kept me being I don't really know where I'm going with that, but just to challenge my own boundaries. I'm just we're walking quite a thin line of what is appropriate for me now. Back in the day it was fine, but that's just not it. So it's just been hard to kind of figure out, oh, what am I doing? And and then the more because intention is everything. So I'm I really got to be careful about what my intentions are, what I'm putting out, and why. And so that has created this whole evolution of looking at myself and shame and trauma. And it's been, honestly, it's a real blessing to have had this experience. Here, look at all the things that you could go so far. I could just go start doing some naked yoga in the hills and become a millionaire. You know what I mean? What are my boundaries, and what is it that I really want to put out into the world, and what's stopping me which is why we're here. So I do have like a very, sensual, sexual, kind of in tune with all that nature. And I don't need to feel bad about it. So that's where I've like come to. I'm like, you know what, this is great. And, the only thing that needs to change is my intention. So, before the personal practices, the original intention was to be like, oh, this is kind of what it looks like. And it has just turned into more of a show off, pretty sexy kind of thing, for the male gaze. And so I want to kind of turn that around, because for everything that I'm doing feels great except that. And that's what's been hard to get honest about. So what I'm doing instead, because I don't think that being sensual and sexual is bad in any way. In fact, spirituality, sexuality go very hand in hand. And if you can learn to bring onto your mat, bring in this feeling of goodness, and find a way to relax and love yourself, like that's the goal, because then you can take it out into real life. You can love other people. You can appreciate their beauty and their expression because you appreciate your own. Nothing to be shameful here, and in fact we're just gonna own it all. So I do have that dancing experience, so I'll bring in some fun movements, because who doesn't want to learn how to kind of move in more fun, exotic ways. Definitely physically trying still, so it's sort of this blend of, and I think yoga's intention, is this personal, getting really connecting with yourself to feel. But when you're in a yoga class, it's, it's more about, it's hard to connect on that level. So I'm going to try to bring it in these really sensual personal practices, and show you, guide you. Let's connect to our root, connect to just the goddess within, learn to love her so that we can learn to love other people. I always, there was a time when I was not into females because I was super uncomfortable with myself. I didn't accept myself. I did not love myself. There was just like, that was not, I didn't feel like I was living up to any kind of like womanly standard. But that's not the case anymore. I love myself now, and I love women. I want the best for all the ladies, for everybody, but I want you to find yourself, I want you to feel beautiful. And so that's what these practices are about: letting go of shame, exploring new movement, in a yogic class kind of way. I hope that you enjoy. I will just be continuing to do tons of research on somatics and the meditations and everything, so that this can be a really healing practice. So, and something that will just hopefully enrich the rest of your life. So join me on Patreon for these new weekly personal practice 2.0 classes. And we're going to be doing a lot of these, so I'm just going to be getting real with you each week on what's going on, so that maybe go live with these, so that we can just talk about what's really going on and embrace each other fully. I'll see you there.